Hi, my loves. Welcome to class 12 of Spirit School. What a journey it has been. Don't forget, we do have a bonus class all on ceremony if you haven't watched that already. But I am so excited for this class all on mirror magic. Now, mirror magic is very diverse and there are lots of different elements. So I will be going through the entire list today. Remember, as usual, everything is available on the class homepage. There is a downloadable workbook that will offer you activities for all of the beautiful magic that we tap into today. And I'm so excited. So let's first just try to understand what it even is. So think of a mirror in front of you when you look into your mirror, okay? Essentially, your reflection is the untethered reflection because the reflection itself doesn't hold any emotional tethers or biases. It is closer to your higher self, to higher states of awareness, because it doesn't have a conscious mind. It is not a conscious creator. You know, your reflection isn't doing its own thing. It's mirroring your energy, okay? So think of that as the premise, as the base, the foundation, and we will build upon that, okay? So just think of the reflection, mirror magic, as reflective work, okay? And we allow it to create something from, again, an unrestricted dimension. So it's really powerful. Now, I should mention before we even get into this, that mirrors are portals, okay? And when you open a portal, you have to be mindful that you may also be opening a portal to dark energies and entities. So you have to go into this protecting your space, protecting yourself, and securing your mirrors with beautiful sacred sigils to protect yourself, okay? Even putting some selenite around. You don't want to welcome anything that isn't of light and love. So don't just go do it in the middle of the night at midnight and open up portals before you go to sleep. You want to be very intentional about when and where you use magic, mirror magic. It's also why it's one of the last classes, because I wanted you to move through magic mastery before you start unlocking these kinds of worlds. There will actually be Spirit School Level 2 available, you know, in the coming months. And part of that, or for those who are watching this much later, it will be available already. But essentially we will go a next layer deeper into magic and mastery. But this is your preliminary offering when it comes to tapping into magic. So just be mindful going into it. Remember, you've done enough now, you've practiced enough of your craft to know that sometimes things can go either way. So you need to make sure that you're anchored in the light and love. We don't practice dark magic here. We don't practice black magic. We are focused on light and on love. But magic itself isn't biased. It's neutral, which means your intention determines the energy that you tap into and mirror back into your space. So make sure you go in prepared and protected. The typical uses for mirror magic are scrying, seeing truth, and portals. They're the three main uses, but I'm going to go through a whole list of them today so we can start to explore the beautiful world of mirrors. Now, it's really simple in practice, okay? We use mirrors usually from a place of fear, judgment, and bias. So even condemnation. So when you look in the mirror, you find all of the things you don't like about yourself. And we're going to shift that energy and move into the energy of love and enlightenment and illumination for our use of mirrors, offering an opportunity to see as God sees, as opposed to offer judgment. You know, a lot of the time a mirror represents the ego's reflection. How I see myself and perceive myself is how I've orchestrated and created my belief system, my psyche. And we want to shift that from, you know, we want to move from a place of bias and ego to a place of neutrality. And from that neutrality, we can then move to a place of positivity, enlightenment, love, presence, connection, source energy, divine wisdom. So it's really shifting your own experience when it comes to how you've previously used mirrors in your day-to-day life. You've actually practiced mirror magic your entire life. You just weren't aware of it. Every time you were looking in the mirror and you saw something you didn't like, you were affirming that reality, okay? And so we're going to shift from that today. So what is a reflection? A reflection is a product of light or absence of it. You close the light, you can't see your reflection, right? So a reflection only exists as a product of light. So already we have a beautiful foundation. We're tapping into mirror magic from a place of light, recognizing that the light is around us, moves through us, reflects upon us. Now, mirrors reflect our energy. And if we can consciously connect with that energy, we can amplify it. So that's the work, right? Most of the time you look at the reflection, it reflects your energy and you don't really do anything with it. It's like, I am me, you are you. But instead, if we can connect with it, we can amplify it. It's literally like two faces focused on the one energy, amplifying the experience. How powerful. So use number 1 for meditation as an energy amplifier. So how you do this is through mirror gazing. You use it to connect to a trance-like state. So instead of lying on your bed and meditating, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're literally eye gazing with self, and you're trying to get yourself in a deep hypnotic trance-like state. And you do that through the breath. So start breathing in, and remember, it's like two bodies breathing together in sync, and it will be perfectly harmonized because your reflection does as you do, right? It's different when you're actually working with another physical person. Sometimes you're out of sync energetically, but in this particular way, you're perfectly in sync and you're amplifying this energy. You breathe in deeply and then you release, and you amplify with each breath, expanding the intention to connect, breathing in life force and vitality with each breath. Really focusing on your eyes, gazing into them so deeply, wanting to know your own soul. And I highly recommend disassociating a little. Some of you who are used to disassociating, it will be relatively easy. But if you're not used to it, it's like you get so lost in the eyes that you lose all focus. Like I'm disassociating a little bit right now. Like I'm so lost in this that it's like I can feel you. Even though I'm looking into a camera, it's like I'm looking into your soul directly. I can feel your energy and your presence. It's really powerful. So try disassociating a little and get lost in the experience, and you'll start to forget everything that's around you, and you'll start to disconnect with everything around you. And what you'll notice is you'll feel the energy between you and your reflection start to really intensify, and it'll increase in energy and momentum. And this is purely a meditation practice. It's designed to get you into a theta brainwave state, right? Similar to sex magic, but in a way in which you're using your reflection to amplify. And it's a very powerful activity. If you find that you start to see distortions or it starts to get uncomfortable, just tune out, right? You can go back to your conscious state at any time you wish, but start getting into the practice of it. I know a lot of people that use mirror magic to meditate, and it's a very powerful practice. It's like I'm completely connected to self, right? There's nothing to distract me. And the monkey mind likes it because the monkey mind is really trying to focus on self. So you've given it an activity, you've assigned it an activity. Whereas when I just close my eyes and lie down on my bed and try to meditate, I'm distracted by thoughts. But in this case, I have a reflection to distract me. So the monkey mind is at peace and at bay. And then I can allow my unconscious to explore itself, and it's very, very powerful. Use number 2 for reprogramming, using a self-care ritual. So basically, this is what you probably do in the mirror anyway. You gaze in the mirror, you use mantras and affirmations to amplify the feelings you desire to feel. Have you ever looked in the mirror and you say, I love myself, I fully and completely love and accept myself, you are beautiful, you are powerful, or I am powerful, and you really use the mirror to amplify that energy, okay? It's a love-based exchange. As long as you speak with conviction, you have to affirm and believe the things that you say. I want you to then receive it fully. What it does essentially is it starts stopping automatic programming, okay? So the autopilot mind that will often align with the ego becomes disrupted with this beautiful positive influx of energy, and that's how you reprogram. It's used for healing, it's used for clearing energetic blocks, it's used for cultivating love and for being present. I love it. You can do it every day. It's the kind of thing that you would teach your children to do as well, to look in the mirror and amplify love, okay? And you use it as a self-care ritual, a self-love ritual, and it's very, very powerful for reprogramming because you're coming from a place of love and not fear or resentment or rejection. Use number 3, enchantment. This mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, right? It's this kind of energy where you can actually use it for spells. Now, please be mindful before I even explain this. Any kind of enchantment which requires spells sometimes comes from the ego, okay? I want to look better, and so I use mirror magic to enchant my appearance, okay? I don't recommend it in that way. There's no part of you that isn't perfect as it is, but sometimes you're going on a hot date or you're going to an interview and you just want to have a pep in your step, if you will. And this would be a perfect spell to use to enchant yourself, to really just feel into the energy that you want to step into anyway. Okay. And that's how I would use it. So just be mindful of when you use it. No part of you needs to be different, but I do understand that sometimes it's really nice to give ourselves that little confidence boost. So essentially you're enchanting your perception of yourself. So what you're trying to do is get yourself into a trance-like state. You would do that through the meditation practice with the mirror. You would use different angles, different head shifts, tilts, until you get the ideal perception of self. We all have an angle. I know me, this is my angle, right? This angle, not so much. This angle, yes please, right? We all have an angle. We get that angle and then our perception begins to shift. That is who we become in our mind. And then what you do is you start to visualize, you start to add elements to your appearance. Start adding like a little sparkle in your eyes, stars, shimmering, iridescence, anything that you want to amplify and illuminate who you are at your core, okay, through your reflection. And you're doing this through your mind's eye, but your eyes are wide open as well, and you're seeing the amplification take place. You can actually use this to also change your features. If you want bigger boobs or bigger lips or less wrinkles or whatever it is, you can actually use this process of enchantment to do it. And you would do it as a daily ritual to really move the energy from what you're seeing. And it does call for a little bit of dissociation as well. And you start to morph your shape. Now, again, don't let this come from a place of ego. I need to change myself to love myself. Instead, it's I love myself so much, I naturally want my physical self to mirror the way I feel about myself on the inside. And you're just amplifying that which you already are. And most of the time, all that's actually required is a perception shift, not a physical shift, right? And that's the beauty of enchantment, that sometimes it comes to a beautiful level of self-awareness and self-realization that actually I've always been beautiful, but I perceived myself in a different kind of way, in a way that wasn't of love. Now, please note, enchantment using mirror magic does require a huge energy exchange. All spells require an energy exchange, and you will feel depleted after doing this, okay? So you can't do it all the time, so use it sparingly and only when you really need that extra little pep. I feel that it's best used for big ticket life events, right? Like a wedding day, or again, like a huge date or an interview or something like that. It's essentially wearing an energy cloak for the day. And so it does weigh heavy. So you don't want to be carrying it at all times. Method number 4 for aura cleansing and amplifying. This is one of my favorite uses for mirror magic. So essentially you start to get yourself into that meditative state, the disassociative state, and you start to see your aura in your reflection, okay? And it'll be a certain color. It changes and shifts depending on your mood and the feelings and the energies you're embodying. And when you start to visualize your aura and see it in the reflection, okay, you then start to create sigils using sigil magic, all right, in your aura. So they can be symbols. You can use the Reiki symbols we talked about, or create your own sigils and just start creating them in your aura. So you're basically drawing them in. Now you can do that simply with your finger. You can do it with your finger dipped in an essential oil or an elixir. You can do it with some incense or a candle, as you wish. You could even draw it in your reflection using a whiteboard marker in the mirror, okay? Sigils that you have pre-created before the meditation. Go slowly and with intention. There's no hurry, okay? And you're just infusing those light codes into your aura, and it's super, super powerful. Remember, everything needs intention plus attention. Time, space, practice, consistency, commitment, devotion. And then what you do to amplify is you use your third eye to really see the sigils, okay? And you amplify their energy and you basically imprint them onto your aura. And with your third eye, you will see the sigils grow and glow with intensity and power as you start to really connect with them. And the goal of this specific exercise is to hold the vision for as long as possible. So you want to really try to just be in that energy. The moment you start to get distracted, it's time to end the practice, okay? But try and hold the energy for as long as possible. Method number 5 for regression. This is where you get real up close and personal with your mirror, okay? And you want to stare very, very closely to the mirror. This is where you will also get lost in the reflection. You would stare deep into your eyes and you would let your eyes become the portal. Literally like looking in a crystal ball, which I'll talk about in a minute, but just stare deep into your eyes in which they become the portal. Your actual reflection and the entire world around you will dissolve. you will be lost in the portal. So again, make sure you go into this with a lot of protection and with enough energetic supply to make sure that you can hold space for this kind of experience, because regressions require a lot of energy. Okay, so it's not just something we do when we're half tired or bored. We have to really have enough energy to offer this kind of exchange, because you get really lost in it. The deeper you go into your own eyes as the portal, the more likely you are to see your face start to distort. You start to see different environments, a different experience, maybe a past life, maybe a future life, maybe an alternate timeline, maybe some revelation from the divine. You will go on a journey, right? It's very psychedelic, okay, what you really experience. It does take practice. You may not see anything for the first 25 times doing it, but stay committed and practice and you will start to see things. It is similar to eye gazing, but in this way we're trying to tap into different energies that are on a different dimension, okay? And essentially you may even see yourself, in different clothing. It will be you and you'll know it'll be you, but you'll have a different face, different clothing, different environment, different feelings, different memories, and you'll be able to tap into those. Method number 6, super traditional, and that is scrying. So to scry, you essentially again get yourself into a trance-like deep meditative state. You can use a mirror, you can use a pool of water, you can use a black mirror, which is the traditional use for scrying, or the traditional tool for scrying, sorry. And you can also use a crystal ball. I love crystal balls. I always play with my crystal balls. They're one of my favorite tools to use. You've seen those old clown movies, circus movies, sorry, in which there's always some witch with her crystal ball and she sees into the future using her crystal ball. That's scrying. So you get lost in it. So whether it is the mirror, the black mirror, the pool of water, or the crystal ball, you get lost in it and it starts to take on a life of its own. And you begin to really visualize. Now remember, whatever your imagination creates, it's real. Because if it wasn't real, it wouldn't have created it. So let yourself explore from a place of non-resistance and non-confinement. So as you do this and you start getting lost in the energy portal, you'll start to notice a story or a picture or visuals or words. They'll begin to appear. As you start to really master this specific practice, it will begin shifting into more of a timeline which you can interpret. At the beginning, it'll just be objects and shapes and colors and maybe people and words and a brief storyline. But as you practice and stay committed to this, if you enjoy scrying, you will begin to start seeing an entire story, and you will be able to do it for other people, similar to tarot. It's a method for interpreting the divine wisdom coming through. It's also used for regression, to see into the past, also to see into the future. And you have to use it with a lot of intention. Again, there's a huge energy exchange. So just be mindful to have enough energy supply to work on this, but also to protect yourself. Because when you look into a crystal ball, you can't anticipate what may or may not be revealed to you. So again, call upon your angels, your spirit guides, your ancestors, Jesus, ascended masters, God, to be present in this space to offer you the protection light, okay? Surrender, practice, deep meditation, and intuition are integral for this specific practice. All right, it's a really good tool to really start tapping into your intuition as well. It does require a level of mastery that I wouldn't recommend to beginners, okay? So if you're still getting, a taste of all the different things that you've worked through in spirit school, maybe work on them first. But if you're deeply called to scrying, I highly recommend it. It's, if you are a witch in a past life, this is going to feel very familiar to you. And number 7, a method that I also use very often is tarot reading. So I talked about it in the tarot class, but essentially I use the mirror to read tarot. So as I'm shuffling, whatever reflections I see in the mirror and the cards that stand out to me, I use them to do the reading. Okay, so you go back to the tarot class, and in lieu of reading the cards on your own and picking them, you're looking into the reflection, the mirror reflection, and using the mirror to do the reading for you. It's a very powerful way. It also offers no bias because it's whatever your eyes pick up on based on how you're shuffling. It's a super powerful tool. So where do you start? First, you either use a big, large mirror in your house. Remember to protect it, create protection sigils all around the mirror to really make sure it's protected. Put crystals around, devote it to light. If you feel a little bit scared, you can cover the mirror in the evenings at night. I don't do that because I really trust that my space is filled with love, and I've only opened up portals that align with love. But if at the beginning it's starting to make you a bit uncomfortable, do that. I don't recommend opening up mirrors or portals for deities, okay? It starts calling in darker energy, and deities require a lot of offerings, specifically sacrifice, okay? So it'll make you do things and offer them energies that you may not feel comfortable with. So don't even explore that yet. That will definitely be in level 2 of spirit school, working with the deities, because I don't necessarily not recommend it, but I feel that it does require more of a seasoned witch or a seasoned magic master to experience that kind of energy. Now, how you can start to practice. So obviously have a big mirror. You can buy yourself a black mirror. You can buy yourself a crystal ball, but you can even just buy a little pocket mirror and keep it in your pocket and use that at the beginning, because it's quite safe. If I don't like it, snap, it's shut, I'm done with it. Okay, so it doesn't have to be so intense at the beginning. It can be something that I start committing to a 5-minute practice in any of those 7 different methods, and I just explore it. So all 7 techniques are listed in your workbook. I don't recommend you do them all at once. Choose whichever one is calling you and explore that one first. Once you've mastered that, then you can take on another one, okay? Obviously, the meditation is a beautiful one. The one for reprogramming is also a really good one to start with, whichever one is calling you. So I really hope you enjoyed Mirror Magic. I love Mirror Magic. I think that it's a super fun magic tool. But again, I know I reinforce this, but it's so important to know that magic itself is neutral. It's just energy, and we get to decide what we tap into. But sometimes the unknowing magic master or the unknowing witch goes into the experience a little naive. And when we're naive, we open up portals and Pandora's box to energies that we don't really want to explore, or timelines we don't really want to explore. So I'm just saying, be very mindful. I've offered a number of protection sigils that you can use in your workbook as well, so I recommend them, but you can also create your own sigils. I've listed in the workbook how to create your own sigils. So enjoy practicing Mirror Magic. I cannot wait to hear all the feedback from this. And again, remember, it takes consistency, commitment, but over time you will use it as a tool for divination as well. And you'll be able to include it as part of your craft. You would include it in your book of light as well, or your book of shadows, and you would teach it to your future generations. I hope you enjoyed this class. I love you so much. Enjoy the bonus class that I have for you, and I'll see you then.